Hey everyone, it's Bunkus, and I just want to do a real quick tutorial on how to get 60 frames per second on your PVR, plus some render settings in both Vegas and After Effects. So, first thing, recording from your PVR, you're going to want to make sure your PS3's display settings are on 720p or 1080p. You don't want it to be 1080i, because that means the frame rate is interlaced, which means it's actually refreshing every other frame, so it's actually faking higher quality, but it's actually only 30 frames per second. So you want 720p, or you want it to be 1080p. So make sure you have it like that. So go into display settings on your PS3, and then video output settings. So I have that open there. And make sure that you increase quality to best quality. And make sure this says 60 frames per second, and hit apply. And that's about it for your PVR. So now that you have your raw audio files and stuff, so you can pop open Vegas. I don't use Vegas, I use After Effects, that's all I use. It's just much more powerful, and once you learn how to use it, it's really amazing. But since most people are using this, let's just say I cut down my clip a little bit. So here's my clip. Double click above it, and that will put the loop region around it. Tools, selectively pre-render video. Render loop region only. Here, make sure you select 1280 high quality, 1280 by 720, 60 frames per second. And then you can custom it if it's not. So if it doesn't say that, you can, if it said that, check that. Audio, you can change that if you want, blah blah blah. I don't use Vegas, so then hit OK to render that, and then after that's finished, you can go into this and put it in whatever folder you want and name it whatever you want. Put it as Windows Media Video. I've played around with a lot of these. This one's really compressed, and most people can play it on their computers, where MP4s, like, a lot of people can't. So render it like that, and that works pretty well. Make sure it's 1280 by 720 again. Double NTSC, which means 60 frames per second, and 1.0 pixel aspect ratio. Then render that. So that's if you're doing it in Vegas. If you're in After Effects, like me, well, first of all, never mind, we'll just go over here. So I have my own render settings, Bunkus render settings. You can save a template, which is really useful, so you don't have to do this every time. I use QuickTime. A lot of people can play that on their computer, so if I send it to them, it's pretty compressed, good audio, stuff like that, small file. So I recommend using that. And make sure you check this audio output. By default, After Effects does not render audio, so make sure you check that. Press OK. You can go into best settings. That's what I use. Just max out everything, because it's, well, you want to get the best quality. You want to be putting out the best quality videos on your channel and stuff. So, don't want to be rendering at quarter quality. You want to be rendering at full. So yeah, that's pretty good. Yeah, and this is where you can save it to and label it whatever. But this is what happens with Twixtor when you send me a 30 frames per second clip. Now this clip's extremely high quality. It's actually 1080 HD quality clip. But what happened is the person rendered it at 30 frames per second. Not really their fault, they just didn't know. And so that's what happened. Even though were recording at 1080 HD, it's really high quality. It's the highest quality you can get from a PVR. Just because they rendered it wrong in Sony Vegas, this is what happened to it. So this isn't even slow. What happens is you get this like warping, and then kind of when they're spinning, this, where is it? Like this paging effect. See that? I don't know. See that paging kind of? People call it ghosting. I don't know, whatever you want to call it. Doesn't matter. So that was real quick, like 5-minute tutorial on how to get render settings. If you're a friend of mine and you send me a clip that's lower quality, alright, fine, I'll edit for you. But like, if I don't know you and you're messaging me for an edit, like, make sure it's high quality and you know what you're doing. Because if I'm going to spend time editing your stuff for free, I would like you to spend some time on your part actually getting the clips correct. So, also, this is another really cool trick. Thank you, Operative Gaming. They're so nice when they send their clips. They actually spend the time. So first they'll have like a quick, like normal speed version, and then immediately afterwards, they have a slowed down version in theater mode, which is insanely useful for Twixtor. It makes it warp almost not existent. That didn't really make sense. It makes there be like no warping and stuff, which is amazing. Like, look how slow that is, and I could like Twixtor at like 50%, and it would be like amazing, and it wouldn't warp at all. So if you could do that, spend the time and do that. So if you're on MW3, record your clips slower pace, and I can speed them up for the parts that want to be regular speed. But that's about it. Thanks guys for watching, and hope this helps some people.